Top three countries with the best fashion sense. So this is a difficult one because I think that Japan, of course, I know. Wow, how unique Japan. I think Japan has a good fashion sense. I'll put Japan there. I think the USA, but I'm going to caveat that by saying specifically New York. So every time I go to New York, I find the fashion really, really interesting. And I think people really experiment with their style in a way that I don't even see in London. But the USA is a massive place. I'm gonna caveat the USA point by saying specifically New York. So we're gonna say Japan, New York, and third, I don't know. But I would say, at least in my mind, the top two in terms of fashion sense is New York and Japan. After that, I think it just becomes a free for all. If we're talking about tailoring, then I think we can add London. I think London has the best tailoring I've seen. When you see everyone go to work in the morning, everyone looks pristine. I think British tailoring is the best. Am I biased in that opinion? Yes. But in terms of just like general everyday person fashion sense, I think New York and Japan take the candle for that one. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. But New York, I think New York have that one. I would say like the average person in New York looks better than the average person in London, like dresses better than the average person in London, for sure. Imani said everyone else in the US dresses like shit and copies NYC. Damn. So Paris, I don't find people in Paris to be that fashionable, to be fair. I think that Paris style is extremely overrated. That I guess we can call this my first hot take. I think it's really overrated. When you go to Paris, and I go to Paris so many times, the average person just wears like skinny jeans, Stan Smiths, and a Lacoste polo. I think because a lot of big brands are in Paris, and because we watch films where they overrate like Parisian style, and we watch Emily in Paris and we think everyone, dresses in this ultra chic way, but it's just PR. It's kind of what Luke is saying. When you go to Paris, people don't dress like that. People don't make an effort like that. The fashion people do, but the fashion people in Paris are not the average people in Paris, right? We're talking about the average people. The average person in New York actually dresses quite nicely. The average person in Japan actually dresses quite nicely. The average person in Paris literally just wears a polo and jeans and Stan Smiths and calls it a day. So I don't find the personal style in Paris of the average person that interesting. If we're talking about the fashion people, the people that work in fashion, yes, they pull out all the stops. They look amazing. But if we're going to talk averages, no, I wouldn't put Paris anywhere near one of the top cities for style. You would be surprised how basic the average Parisian dresses. I think it's kind of interesting how Paris has been able to PR its way into being this ultra stylish city. I just don't see it personally when I go there. I don't see it personally. Shout out to the French though. They've run amok with the narrative. Micah says, I actually disagree. I think they dress super good in Paris. Nah, Micah, no. Because first of all, Micah, you are around the fashion people when you go to Paris. If you just, next time we go to Paris, we're going to go to Paris in June together. I'm going to point out, like when we're on the train, look at the way people are dressed. Or not when we go to a fashion show and everyone looks nice. Or when we go to some fashion event. Just go to like a restaurant and just look at the average person and how they dress. I think sometimes it's skewed because a lot of people go to Paris when it's fashion week, or if you work in the industry, a lot of your friends are fashion people, so you're constantly seeing people look amazing. But outside of the fashion industry, let's be for real here. Let's be honest. He said, bro, the old people in Paris dress so good compared to the UK. It's not even close. But then, is that true? Because then what we have in the UK is the tailoring that people wear. He said everyone over 60 in Paris is fly. I don't know about all of that, mate. I don't know. Clearly this is a hot take. So I guess, guys, you can call this a hot take. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you guys think Parisian street style is elite? And I'm not talking about Parisian street style that you see on Vogue during Fashion Week. I'm talking about the average Parisian style. Also, this is true. This is why I said specifically New York and Japan, and then everything else is a free for all. Because the reason I didn't even say London, even though in London also has, London also has very stylish people. The people that wear the tailoring look pristine. There's a group of people that work in fashion that dress really good. But there are also people that dress horribly. And because I know the average person just wears like a tech fleece or dresses really horribly, that's why I didn't even mention the UK. Notice how I didn't even say the UK. Like London has pockets of people, but no. I think the only people that can really have something to say on the average person being stylish is New York or Japan. I think those are the only people that can say the average New Yorker in Tim's and a puffer looking upset. Like I said, Brits dress so awful. It's actually funny. No, Brits don't care about their lives. Like Brits, like, oh my God, because I lived in Nigeria for so long, and in Nigeria, the culture is to dress nicely wherever you go, even if you go to the grocery store. It was such a culture shock when I moved back to the UK. And everyone looked like people would go to the grocery store looking a mess. Like they would wake up from their house being in their PJs, wearing sliders, and go to the grocery store. That to me was insane. Like I was like, damn, that was a culture shock. I'm used to it now, but that was like insane when I moved back, and I was like, what the hell? Like you would literally see people's crust in their eyes, still in their eyes, and they're walking around the grocery store and stuff. I was like, damn, I would never leave my house looking like that, but each to their own. But that's how Brits are. Brits just don't care about themselves. Brits just do not care. Like they just don't care. That's funny. Brits don't care about their lives. As a well-traveled man, thank you for calling me a well-traveled man. Where did you find the best dressed people? Okay, so personally, out of all the countries I've been to, well, I mean, New York for one. I've been to New York a few times now. Obviously, New York is not a country, but just New York as a place. I'm trying to think. Because most places I go to, there are obviously people that dress well. Like even when I was in Istanbul, there were people that were really cool, that dress really cool. But the average style in Istanbul, was it that interesting? Not really. Like most places I go to, that's just the case. Like I went to Milan, there were pockets of people that looked cool. The Italian tailoring during rush hour was really, really cool to see people dressed like that. There were the fashion people that looked cool, but the average style was a bit basic. It wasn't that interesting. There was no personality in the way that the average person was dressing. So most places that I go to, it tends to just be that. That tends to be the case. New York is actually the only place that even the average person brings something interesting to the way that they dress. I don't know what it is about New York that makes people express themselves through fashion like that, but that's just what it is. That's just what I've seen. Someone said it's the same everywhere. It kind of is for the most part. It is. I will actually, let me take that back. I will say that Antwerp style is really cool. Because Antwerp is such a small place, you notice that there are all those like secondhand shops and like all those brands and stuff. So a lot of people in Antwerp dress kind of cool because they have access to a lot of like affordable, cool secondhand stuff, and there are all these independent brands, even though it's such a small place. So I would say Antwerp is not like, there are still like people that, don't dress that interesting, but I would put Antwerp kind of higher on the list if we're making a list. I think personal style in Antwerp is kind of cool. But yeah, outside of New York and Japan, if we're being honest, like it's New York and Japan, and then everyone else is just chasing after those two places. I mean, so Seoul is an interesting one. I see pictures, but I've never been to Seoul, so I can't really speak to it. But from what I've seen online, people in South Korea do dress really cool, actually. But I need to go there to verify. If there are any Koreans in the chat, let me know what you think about the average personal style in Korea. But from what I've seen, pictures, videos, documentaries, stuff like that, vlogs that I've seen people do, it does seem, actually, now that I think about it, I wasn't thinking about Seoul, but Seoul personal style does seemingly look really, really good. So yeah, this is also a thing. So something I've noticed about personal style in South Korea is that people in South Korea dress in trends. So people in South Korea look amazing, and they always put things together that make them look good. Things fit well. This is also something in the UK. A lot of people don't even understand fit and they just wear any old thing, and they just leave their house looking like that. You see people in Korea, same thing in Japan too. People actually care about fit, the way things fit. That's why things always tend to look good, even when things are basic. but people do dress the same. Like when something is trendy, everyone adopts it. Is my understanding of the personal style in South Korea. But once again, I need to go there to see it for myself. But I do think Seoul is definitely up there in personal style for sure. For sure. Someone said Michigan has fly style. I've never been to Michigan, so Americans in the chat, let's verify. Do people look fly in Michigan? I'm gonna need the verification from a lot of the viewers who are living stateside. It's a matter of having access to unique individual makers. That's definitely part of it for sure. For sure. Okay, people are saying maybe Detroit. No state in the Midwest has good style. Damn. Yeah, I mean, style is definitely subjective. Obviously, people are asking it from my opinion. So I just gave my subjective opinion, but obviously people can have different opinions. Like some people in the chat even disagree with me that Parisian personal style is like a lot better than I'm saying it is. Damn, not someone in the chat saying people look homeless in Michigan. Damn. ATL is the reason TikTok fashion brands exist. Micah says, I struggle to believe that any state outside of New York, or I mean, so that means Georgia, any state outside of New York or maybe Georgia. Well, ATL is fly. Yeah. Okay, Chicago is cool. Chicago has something to say. I think the variety in Chicago is lacking in personal style, but Chicago has a lot to say when it comes to personal style. Nowhere near New York, but I think Chicago has something to say. So that was a good. Yeah, it was good that someone brought up Chicago. I think Chicago has some stuff to say for sure. But yeah, I'm still wondering about the Detroit thing. Well, someone said it wasn't even Detroit. Someone said Michigan. Yeah, Michigan, guys. I really need to, because yeah, I've never even considered style in Michigan. I've never been. Neither New York or Georgia as states are packing a punch. Are you kidding me? That's exactly why you have to specify very specific cities. You have to specify Atlanta, New York, or you have to specify Chicago. You can't start saying states because everything gets watered down extremely fast. Okay, people are saying Houston. I've never really considered Houston as a fashion forward place, to be honest. Obviously, you guys can tell me what you think, but when I think of Houston, I don't really think of style that much. Like, I don't really think of style when I think of Houston. Houston wearing big white tees. Okay, think of Cowboys. Okay, you know what? If we think of Cowboys, yeah, they could pull out some nice Western, there's Western inspired fit. Okay, you guys in the chat, you're cooking. You guys are cooking in the chat. That's definitely true. That's definitely true. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the Cowboys and all that stuff. Yeah, Houston. Let me Google Houston style and see what comes up, like what kind of style they show when I go Houston. Yeah, so there's a lot of people rocking the cowboy type drip. Okay. I like it. The hats, the boots, I like it. Obviously, some people will do it better than others, but I think it's cool. Let's see if I put Houston cowboy style. What comes up? Houston cowboy style. Okay, this is a nice fit, to be fair. This guy here is putting it on. This is where Ras Simmons went for inspiration when he was designing at Calvin Klein. This is where Ras Simmons was going for research trips. But yeah, let's look at some more of these fits. One sec. Let's see. But guys in the chat, especially if you're American, put me onto a sleeper city or town in the US. What's like a town that has really good style, but like most people don't know? Like, what's a sleeper town in the US? I'm curious to know what you guys think. Put me on game. Okay, people are saying Seattle can be like the US is too loud to have sleeper cities. Fair enough. Okay, the Bay Area, I can definitely see that. I mean, when I was younger, I was completely influenced by partially the Bay, not completely, but I was mainly I was influenced by many parts of California, to be fair, but the Bay Area is part of it. So yeah, the Bay Area, I can see that. But then, can you call the Bay a sleeper? Because the problem with the Bay is like, when I think of the Bay, to be honest, if I think of the Bay generally, like I think of triple X when I think of the Bay. Like I think of like people driving Cadillacs wearing triple X tees and stuff. I don't think I think the Bay is cool for like street style and streetwear, but I don't think there's a lot of range in the Bay. It's not like New York, for example. It's not like Atlanta. I feel like in New York and Atlanta, there's range. Like there's people that look good wearing like suits. There's people that look good wearing streetwear looks. There's people that look good wearing avant-garde stuff. There's that range. I don't think the Bay has that kind of range the way that Atlanta or New York does. Someone is saying Oakland for streetwear. Interesting. Okay, someone is saying it's more rooted in outdoors fashion than streetwear in Seattle, so just a different vibe. That's interesting. I'm curious to see like where is Seattle close to? Isn't Seattle like at the border? Because people always talk about like Canada when they talk about Seattle. I could just be speaking out of my ass. Let me before I say these things, I should actually like Google it so I don't come across clueless. But maybe it isn't close to the border. Wait, let me Google this 1 second. Let me see where Seattle is on the map. Okay, 1 second. Okay, yeah, it is on the border. Okay, that's yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm not completely clueless. Yeah, so because I'm always curious to see like the places that are close by. I mean, like Portland, style wise, Tacoma. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I mean, grunge did come from Seattle, to be fair, so they've got that going. But yeah, anything else? Someone said Tacoma. Hell no. Yeah, that's why I was like, just looking at the places close by. Yeah, I just know Portland for having the Nike headquarters, to be honest. That's when I think of Portland, I just think of Nike. That's honestly all I think about when I think of Portland. Long Beach, California. Long Beach, maybe. Maybe. Have I ever been to Long Beach? I don't think I've ever been to Long Beach. Yeah, I haven't been to Long Beach. I've been to a lot of parts of California, but not Long Beach, funny enough. I remember when I used to get confused between like Washington and Washington State. Who was the person that designed that shit? Like, why are they on completely different sides of the country? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, one is close to New York and the other one is literally close to the the other side of the US. That used to confuse me so much when I was younger. Because when people say Washington, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, are you talking about DC or are you talking about the state? Who did that? Okay, people are saying Miami has its own style. That's true. When I think of Miami, I think of like silk shirts, like Versace shirts and Casablanca and that sort of stuff. That's what I think about when I think of Miami. Some people do it better than others, though. In that realm of style, I think some people look amazing, though. I've seen people look really, really good in Miami. Some people overdo it and it veers into being a bit tacky. Of course, that's just my subjective opinion, but that's my opinion. It is what it is. Say people say Miami, Palm Beach. Miami's the only reason Versace is making money. That's crazy. New Orleans, I want to know if they got style. When I was younger, I used to say New Orleans, and then someone corrected me, and they're like, "It's not New Orleans, it's New Orleans." New Orleans. But yeah, I've never. When I think of New Orleans, I think of food. I feel like they're more known for food than they're known for style, to be very honest with you. What borough in London has the best fashion? That ends. West London, if we're talking about boroughs of London, always had the best fashion, no debate. And I'm not even from West London. I'm from Southeast London. But I think that West London, because West London always had proximity to like the brands and, you know, the tailors and all that sort of stuff. So even the streetwear in West London was more refined than any other part of London. So I don't even think that's a hard one. West London for sure. Like that's not even. I didn't even have to think about that for a very long time. I definitely think it's West London. Like I'm not even from there, so I'm not even biased. But yeah, I'd say West London for sure. Tailoring wise, high end fashion wise, streetwear wise, all West London. All West London. In fact, no, not East, not East. I'm being so objective here. In fact, I remember when I was younger, I kid you not, all the trends, even in streetwear, all started in West London. So the kids in West London would wear like Avirex, and then everyone else in London, like the street kids, would wear Avirex. The kids in West London would wear Bape, then everyone else in London would start wearing Bape. Like it was always the West London kids that started wearing stuff first. I don't know why that is. I think once again, it's the proximity to, you know, where all the brands are and the money is and stuff. So even that affected like the streetwear too and street cultures and subcultures in that sense. But yeah, it was always West London for sure. Yeah, but you need to remember that Wiley and Dizzy Rascal were not the first people that wore Avirex. They were just the people because they were popular. So because they were popular, people saw them wearing Avirex. But I saw people from West London wearing that stuff before I saw them wearing it. They're just like more known. Somebody is asking how people feel about cowboy boots. How do you guys feel about cowboy boots, guys? How are you guys feeling? What's the general sentiment with cowboy boots? And what kind of cowboy boots are you talking about? Are you talking about cowboy boots and the iterations in fashion? So let's say the Prada show, the recent Prada show where they did cowboy boots, or Raf Simons and Calvin Klein, or are you talking about more traditional cowboy boots that are made by like artisans in the USA and stuff like that? What kind of cowboy boots are we talking about? Or just everything as a whole? Okay, a lot of people are saying they love cowboy boots. They're a fan, but real cowboy boots. Okay, so not like the fashion brands making cowboy boots. Interesting. I hate the silhouette. Only works with specific styling and good design. People are split down the middle, it seems. I want the Raf Calvin cowboy boots. People on eBay are sick individuals. The prices are insane. What are people selling the Raf cowboy boots for on eBay? I guess the price would go up now because obviously he left Calvin Klein quite a while ago. So in a way, those are kind of grails now. So yeah, I could imagine they'll be expensive on the secondhand market. This YouTube channel runs on your support. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to my Patreon. You'll gain access to exclusive content that includes everything from my Patreon podcast, where I give a behind-the-scenes insight into the fashion industry, as well as a fashion book club where I review my favorite fashion books. You can also check out my fashion ebook, which highlights the best fashion journalists to follow, definitions of common fashion terminology, and how to determine what a good source of fashion information is. The links to everything are in the description below.